Welcome to a different kind of space, a space where your inner world is not ignored but honored, where the noise of the outside world is silenced, so the truth inside you can finally speak. This is not just another motivational video, this is a wake-up call to the power you've always had but may have forgotten. Because today, we're not just talking about goals, routines, or habits. We're talking about the one force that has the power to completely rewire your life. Gratitude. Not as a polite reaction, but as a deliberate discipline of perception. Not as something you feel after things go well, but as the very mindset that causes things to go well. In the next few minutes, you'll begin a journey through the teachings of Napoleon Hill, revealing how gratitude, when understood properly, is not weakness, it is strategy, it is alignment, it is wealth from the inside out. If you've ever felt stuck in lack, trapped in loops of not enoughness, this message is your mirror and your map. You'll discover how to train your mind to see what's working before it's finished, how to feel full while you're still building, and why gratitude is the gateway to true abundance, not just emotionally, but financially, relationally, spiritually. This is how successful minds are built. This is how peace is forged. And this is how a man awakens. So take a breath, let the noise fade, and as we begin, I invite you not just to watch, but to subscribe, to commit to this journey, and to share this message with one soul who needs to remember their power. Because once you truly understand the power of gratitude, you'll never see your life the same way again. Now, let's begin. You've been lied to about what it means to be rich. They told you it was numbers, status, the kind of car you drive, or the square footage of your home. But that's not true wealth. That's noise. That's surface. Because the truth is, abundance begins in the mind, and it starts with one thing: gratitude. Not the kind you post once a year on a holiday. Not the kind you speak only when things go right, but a state of being, a decision, a power. Napoleon Hill understood this deeply. Long before gratitude became a trend, he knew no one can succeed in life without a positive mental attitude. And what is gratitude if not the highest form of a positive attitude? Hill taught that thought is the starting point of all achievement. But he also warned, thought alone is not enough. Your thought must be directed by feeling, by faith, by emotional vibration. And the most powerful vibration a human being can live in is thankfulness. You want success? Then learn to feel successful before the world tells you that you are. You want more? Then prove to the universe that you can manage what you already have. Because nothing multiplies without gratitude. Gratitude isn't passive. It isn't soft. It's one of the fiercest forces in the arsenal of the successful. It says, I will not wait for the world to approve before I celebrate. I will recognize the miracle of this moment now. And that frequency, it changes everything. You begin to see that your life isn't lacking. It's rich. Rich with lessons, with opportunities, with tests designed to elevate you. Hill made it clear, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief is not born from pressure. Belief is born from presence, and nothing brings you into presence like gratitude. Look around you. There's something in your life right now, no matter how small, that someone else is praying for. You have already crossed bridges you once thought would break you. You have survived storms that once felt final. But did you stop to honor that? Did you ever thank the version of you who didn't give up? Because here's the paradox. The more you recognize what's already good, the more good you attract. The more you vibrate from fullness, the less likely you are to sabotage the next level when it arrives. Gratitude clears the clutter. It rewires the mind to stop looking for danger and start looking for possibility. This is not about being blind to problems. It's about being more loyal to solutions than to symptoms. And that shift, that mindset, that is what separates the man who creates wealth from the man who merely chases it. Gratitude does not mean you stop growing. It means you grow with joy. It means your journey isn't punishment, it's refinement. The mistake most people make is thinking they need results in order to feel grateful. But Napoleon Hill knew better. He knew that the mind responds to emotion, not logic. He knew that when you feel good, you think better. You attract better. You move differently. A grateful man walks into the room and commands it. Not because he's loud, but because he's full. He's not needy, not desperate, not searching for something outside to make him whole. He already is. And that confidence, that stillness, that joy, that's magnetic. Gratitude makes you trustworthy to the universe because it says, I know how to appreciate what I have. I am ready for more. If you cannot love $100, you will not honor $10,000. If you cannot take care of your peace now, you will not protect it when life gets louder. So Hill taught us a foundational truth, one most overlook. Abundance is not something you chase. It's something you recognize. The riches you want begin with how you see what you already hold. Let's be clear. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about training your perception to see what's useful, even in what's painful. It's about waking up and saying, I still have breath. I still have choice. I still have time. Gratitude makes you resilient because even when things go wrong, you can say, this pain is shaping me. This test is growing me. This storm is not my enemy. It is my gym. You don't rise by avoiding difficulty. You rise by refusing to forget the gift inside it. And when you do, you shift timelines. You collapse waiting. You align with the frequency that abundance responds to. Gratitude is not something you wait to feel. It's something you practice until it becomes who you are. Napoleon Hill didn't write Think and Wait for Wealth. He wrote Think and Grow Rich. Growth requires action, but the most powerful actions are those taken with the right inner state. You can work from fear, you can hustle from insecurity, or you can build from gratitude. That's the difference. That's the shift. Because gratitude doesn't just feel good, it makes you dangerous to limitation. When you feel thankful before the evidence shows up, you become a force the world doesn't know how to stop. Now, the question is simple. How can you begin living this today? You may think gratitude is an emotion, but Napoleon Hill revealed something bolder. Gratitude is a decision, a deliberate chosen state of mind, one that must be trained like a muscle, and when exercised daily, it reshapes your inner world until your outer world has no choice but to follow. Hill wrote, the starting point of all achievement is desire. But what fuels desire? What keeps it alive long enough to transform into results? Gratitude. Because without it, your desire becomes hunger, a constant ache for something more. But with gratitude, Desire becomes alignment. It becomes focused fire, not frantic need. The mistake most people make is confusing dissatisfaction with drive. They think being frustrated will push them forward. But frustration is unstable fuel. It burns hot and burns out. Gratitude, on the other hand, is stable. It keeps the fire lit without setting your soul on fire from the inside out. It is the calm power that says, I want more and I already have enough. You might say, but how can I feel grateful when nothing is working? And I'll ask you, is nothing working, or are you simply ignoring the foundation beneath your feet? Do you have breath, a chance to try again, a single lesson gained from yesterday's fall? Then you have something, and from that something, anything can be built. Gratitude is the lens that sharpens your focus. It reminds you what's possible instead of what's missing. And when you live from that perspective, the universe responds. Hill didn't just talk about mindset. He talked about frequency, about emotionalized thoughts. He said that faith and emotion must be injected into your desires because the subconscious does not respond to dry words. It responds to feeling. Gratitude is that feeling. You want to reprogram your subconscious? Start by giving it a new soundtrack, one of appreciation, not anxiety. Because here's the truth. A man who is grateful, even in difficulty, is a man who cannot be broken. He can be bent, slowed down, delayed, but not broken. Why? Because he's not depending on perfect conditions to access his power. He's generating power internally, and that kind of man is rare. You might wonder, how does this actually work? What are the practical steps? It's simple. Not easy, but simple. First, begin with awareness. Every day, stop once, just once, breathe, and see one thing you've been taking for granted. Your health, your sight, your strength, a hard lesson that forced you to grow, a relationship that challenged you to speak with more truth. Speak it aloud. Name it. I'm grateful for, and be specific. Specificity is the doorway to presence. First, journal in advance. Write down what you're grateful for, not just from the past, but in advance. Write what hasn't happened yet, as if it already has. This isn't lying to yourself. It's aligning yourself. It's telling your subconscious, this is a story I'm choosing. This is the life I expect. And your mind, loyal as it is, will begin building that story. Third, speak differently. The words you speak are seeds, and if you speak from scarcity, even as a joke, you plant limitation. But when you speak from gratitude, you fertilize growth. Hill warned against careless speech. He knew that your dominant thoughts become belief, and belief becomes behavior, and behavior becomes destiny. So choose your words like your future depends on them, because it does. 4, find gratitude and resistance. This is where the real power begins. It's easy to feel thankful when you win, but when you lose, can you still find something to honor? Not because it's easy, but because this pain, this moment, is shaping you into a man who can carry the weight of real success. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. That wasn't poetic optimism. That was Hill's blueprint for resilience. If you only appreciate life when it cooperates, you'll stay emotionally bankrupt. Rich in potential, poor in peace. But if you decide everything is a gift, even if it comes wrapped in pain, you unlock the code that Hill was trying to teach all along. You are the cause, not the effect. You get to decide how you see. You get to decide what you feel. You get to decide what you do with this moment. And when you do it from gratitude, you stop chasing life and start attracting it. Let that sink in. Because most of the world is running toward a future they don't trust, running from a past they never healed, never realizing that peace was available now through perception. Gratitude is not passive. It's a radical act of defiance against a culture of more, against a lie of not enough. It says, I am full, even as I build. I am rich, even before the money arrives. I am powerful, even in the middle of uncertainty. That energy changes your choices, and your choices change your life. Napoleon Hill taught that autosuggestion, repetition of thought, was the tool to rewire the mind. But without gratitude, autosuggestion is hollow, because repetition without emotion is just noise. You want to rewire your reality? Then feel it. Feel thankful for what's on the way before it arrives. Feel gratitude for the version of you who didn't quit. Feel awe for how far you've come, even if you're not where you want to be. Because when you can feel grateful for the path, not just the destination, you unlock the secret of fulfillment. The man who feels whole before the world gives him anything is the one the world eventually gives everything to. Gratitude is that powerful. Gratitude doesn't stop at the borders of your mind. It moves through you. It touches everything. Your words, your presence, your relationships. It leaves fingerprints on the people you love and on the people who barely know your name. When Napoleon Hill spoke of a positive mental attitude, he wasn't just describing a personal advantage. He was describing a contagious force. A positive mind finds a way it can be done. A negative mind looks for all the ways it can't. Gratitude is that positive mind in motion. It's the spark that shifts atmospheres, that rewrites energy in rooms, that gives weight to your words, not because of what you say, but because of what you carry when you say it. Walk into a room with gratitude in your spirit, and people feel it, even if they don't understand it. There's a calmness, a quiet strength, not arrogance, not need, but fullness, presence. And in a world addicted to anxiety, presence is revolutionary. Hill taught us that success is not created in isolation. He emphasized the mastermind principle, the power of aligned association. But here's what most forget. You don't attract powerful partnerships when you're living in scarcity. You attract them when you radiate gratitude. Because the man who is grateful isn't desperate. He's not networking from a place of lack. He's overflowing. And people feel safer around someone who isn't trying to take something, but trying to build something. Gratitude makes you magnetic, not just to things, but to people, to allies, to elevation. Because here's a truth that might sting. If your attitude is rooted in frustration, you repel favor. You might still get ahead, but you'll burn bridges on the way, and what you build won't last. But if your foundation is gratitude, even when you're still climbing, you build relationships that lift you, not drain you. You create trust without words. You build legacy, not just leverage. That's the ripple effect. And it doesn't stop there. Gratitude heals your body. You weren't designed to live in constant fight or flight, but when your mind is trained on fear, lack, and stress, your nervous system thinks you're under attack. You breathe shallow. Your muscles stay tense. Your hormones become toxic. And your body begins to break, not because of what's around you, but because of what's happening inside you. Gratitude reverses that. It slows your breath. It opens your chest. It lowers cortisol, raises serotonin. Your body literally begins to heal. Not from a new prescription, but from a new perspective. That's not spiritual fluff. That's neuroscience. That's biology. And Hill knew it intuitively. He said, success comes to those who become success conscious. To be success conscious is to be peace conscious, joy conscious, gratitude conscious. You cannot hate your way into a healthy life. You cannot fear your way into a free one. Only gratitude builds the inner state that mirrors the outer reality you say you want. So start small. Instead of scrolling in the morning, pause just 10 seconds and speak, I'm grateful for the silence. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for what's ahead, even if I can't see it yet. You will feel it. Not always instantly, not always dramatically, but slowly. It will become your default setting. And that is when everything changes. When gratitude becomes your baseline, you stop sabotaging momentum. You stop second-guessing your next step. You stop comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. Because you've anchored your worth in something deeper than appearance, deeper than outcomes, deeper than applause. Hill said, Most real failures are due to limitations which men set up in their own minds. And there's no faster way to remove those mental limits than to rewire your internal story. Gratitude does that. It says, this struggle is not the end of me, it's the strengthening of me. This delay is not denial, it's preparation. This moment, even now, is worthy of honor. The masses will call that delusion, but the masters will call it discipline. Because life doesn't bend to what you wish, it bends to who you are. And gratitude makes you someone the universe can trust with more. It makes you someone others want to build with, someone people feel safe around, someone who's not performing but present, not chasing but carrying value in their words, in their gaze, in their walk. That's what shifts relationships. Gratitude makes you more compassionate. You stop criticizing others for what they lack because you've stopped criticizing yourself for what you lack. You begin to celebrate progress in others because you've learned to celebrate it in yourself. You become generous, not because you have it all, but because you know how to recognize what matters. And people feel that. They lean in. They rise with you. That is the ripple. That is how gratitude moves from the soul outward, through your relationships, your health, your influence, and it all starts with one habit: to pause, to honor, to name what's good, to carry thanks in silence and let it shape the sound of your life. This is not optional. Not if you want real success. Not if you want peace to last. Not if you want to live beyond the survival loop of more, more, more. Because without gratitude, you will climb and still feel hollow. Without gratitude, you will achieve and then wonder why it's not enough. But with it, you don't just build wealth. You become wealth. You carry wholeness. You radiate completeness. You become a man who isn't chasing peace. You become the man who is peace. Power without practice is just potential. And gratitude, no matter how beautiful in theory, will not change your life until it becomes a ritual. Napoleon Hill knew this. He didn't write about motivation. He wrote about methods. He didn't just say, have a positive attitude. He showed you how to build one. And the first step, repetition. Daily, consistent, emotional repetition. You want gratitude to shape your destiny? Then you must shape gratitude into your discipline. Here's how. 1. Begin the day in command, not in chaos. Don't let the world touch you before you touch your thoughts. Before the phone, before the news, before the noise, sit, even for 90 seconds, and breathe. Place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating, and say quietly, even if just in your mind, I am grateful for this moment. I am grateful for my breath. I am grateful for another chance. Why? Because the first thought of your day is a command. It's not a whisper, it's a broadcast to your subconscious. And that first signal becomes the emotional tone you carry into everything else. Gratitude doesn't take time, it takes intention. It is a 60-second shift that can rewire an entire morning. 2. Write it down every day. Hill said, any idea, plan, or purpose may be placed in the mind through repetition of thought. So make it physical, make it tangible. Open a notebook. Call it your gratitude ledger. Every morning, write 3 things you're grateful for, and make one of them uncomfortable. Not just, I'm grateful for my bed or my coffee, though those count. Write, I'm grateful for the challenge I'm facing at work. I'm grateful for the person who triggered me yesterday. They showed me where I still need to heal. I'm grateful for the delay in my plans. It gave me more time to prepare. Why? Because this teaches your nervous system not to panic at adversity, but to search for meaning. And the man who finds meaning is the man who cannot be defeated. Over time, Your gratitude ledger becomes proof. On the days when your mind is foggy, you will have pages of perspective to remind you you are not empty. You are becoming. 3. Speak gratitude aloud as affirmation. Hill believed deeply in the power of autosuggestion, the repeated verbal declaration of your intention and belief. But most people are speaking affirmations from a place of desperation. I am rich, I am happy, I am powerful. But there's no emotion in their words. There's no truth behind the tone. Gratitude changes that. Instead of generic affirmations, say this: I am thankful in advance for the abundance that's already on its way. I am grateful for who I'm becoming, even if no one else sees it yet. I am thankful for the lessons that made me stronger, even if they hurt. Say it with breath, say it with energy, say it with belief, because the subconscious does not obey language, it obeys emotion. And when your affirmation is soaked in gratitude, it becomes a signal, a magnetic frequency that shapes what the world reflects back to you. 4. Use the gratitude jar technique. Find a simple jar, a box, anything. Next to it, keep a stack of small slips of paper. Every day or every time something good happens, no matter how small, write it down and drop it in. A moment of clarity, a kind word from a friend, a sale, a smile, a win. Let your mind see that good is always happening. It's just a matter of whether you collect it or forget it. Once a month, open the jar, read them aloud, feel the truth in them, and remind yourself, this is what you've already survived. This is what you've already built. This jar becomes your archive of abundance. Not the kind the bank tracks, but the kind your spirit remembers. 5. Turn gratitude into contribution. Gratitude without expression is like light that never escapes the bulb. It's powerful, but it goes nowhere. So speak it. Text someone and say, I appreciate how you've shown up in my life. Tell the barista, thank you for making this today. I mean it. Look your child in the eyes and say, I'm proud of who you are, not just what you do. Why does this matter? Because gratitude expressed becomes amplified. It changes their energy, and it expands yours. It ripples. Napoleon Hill taught the law of increasing returns, that what you give out returns multiplied. When you give thanks, you create value, and the world reflects it back. You want wealth? Then begin by making others feel valuable. Begin by recognizing value in people, in moments, in even the mundane. That's where real wealth begins, not in having, but in seeing. These practices are not suggestions. They are systems. They are bricks in the foundation of a new identity. Because gratitude is not just a tool, it is a way of being, a way of seeing, a way of responding to life that says, I no longer wait for circumstances to tell me how I feel. I choose who I am in advance. I build my frequency from the inside out. Gratitude is how you start leading your life instead of reacting to it. And once you master this practice, everything begins to change. You become less reactive. You start attracting more aligned opportunities. You speak differently. You breathe differently. You think differently. And without forcing, without chasing, your life begins to catch up to the level of your perception. Because that's the law. What you are grateful for expands. Gratitude is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning. The moment you learn to see your life through its lens, you stop asking, when will it get better, and start asking, how can I use what I already have to build something greater? Because the truth is, you're not waiting for a miracle. You already are one. Napoleon Hill said, you have absolute control over but one thing, and that is your thoughts. This is the most significant and inspiring of all facts known to man. And gratitude is how you control that power. It is the anchor when your mind wants to drift. It is a guardrail when your thoughts veer toward fear. It is a bridge between where you are and everything you still want to become. This is not soft philosophy. This is the very foundation of Hill's greatest lesson, that you shape your life from the inside out, never the other way around. So now look back at every storm you survived, every betrayal that strengthened you, every delay that gave you time to grow. Can you feel it? Not just appreciation, but reverence. You were never being punished, you were being prepared. And when you begin to thank the preparation, you stop resisting the process. You become aligned, and that alignment makes you unstoppable. Because a man who lives in gratitude cannot be manipulated. You can't bait him with greed, you can't break him with scarcity. He is already full, and full men make the clearest, strongest, most powerful decisions. That is a secret most never understand. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel good, it makes you dangerous to limitation. Because while others wait to feel grateful until things improve, you begin improving because you already feel grateful. Gratitude collapses the illusion of lack. It silences the voice that says, "You're not there yet." Because the voice inside you begins to say, "I'm building, I'm expanding, I'm arriving, moment by moment." That is wealth. That is abundance. Not what you hold in your hands, but what you hold in your heart. Napoleon Hill never defined success by luxury. He defined it by alignment, by definite purpose, directed thought, and disciplined belief. Success is the development of the power with which to get whatever one wants in life without interfering with the rights of others. Gratitude is what gives that power its compass. It keeps you generous instead of greedy, humble instead of arrogant, joyful instead of anxious. It is not just a practice, it is a protection from the weight of success that comes too fast, from the ego that wants more without appreciation, from the burnout that comes from chasing instead of building. Gratitude slows the mind, it sharpens the eye, it deepens the breath, and from that stillness you begin to move. Not just with speed, but with accuracy. This is the kind of man you were meant to be. One who doesn't need noise to feel worthy. One who doesn't need applause to keep showing up. One who doesn't need permission to recognize his value. You were never meant to beg for abundance. You were meant to recognize it, to create it, to multiply it through the lens of a heart that already sees clearly. So from this day forward, live that way. Let gratitude become your baseline. Let it become the first thought in the morning and the last before you sleep. Let it become the way you speak to others, not with complaint, but with consciousness. Let it become the way you build, with honor, not with hurry. And above all, let it become the way you see yourself. Because the man you are becoming needs one thing more than goals, discipline, or drive. He needs you to appreciate him now. Not just the version you'll become someday, but the one who kept going, the one who rose from nothing, the one who didn't give up when no one was watching. Thank him. He is the reason you are here. He is the reason you are ready. He is the proof that you don't just have the potential for abundance, you have the pattern. You've already been practicing the very thing Hill called the master key, control over your mind. And now with gratitude, you unlock the door. So let this be your final reminder. You don't need to wait for life to give you more to start feeling rich. Feel it now, and life will follow. You don't need to see the full path to trust your direction. Trust it now, and the path will open. You don't need to be at the top to walk like a man of value. Walk now, and the world will begin to reflect what you already carry. Because gratitude is not a reaction to abundance. It is the birthplace of it. Now go, live full, give thanks, and build everything from there. If this message stirs something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe. Share it with someone you know is ready to rise. Return to this message as often as needed, because the world may try to distract you, but your power is always one breath of gratitude away. This is your reset. This is your edge. This is your advantage. Use it. Until next time, stay grateful, stay grounded, stay great.